Hi gentlemen, welcome back. Today I want to talk about something that's a little bit spiritual, a little bit deep, and I feel like recently I have been pondering on speaking more about God and death. That's something I love talking about. I love talking about death. I don't know why, it's just my favorite topic. And so dating and relationships, I love talking about that, but I will also be talking a lot about God and the reason I talk about death, you're gonna find out why I talk about death. But that's kind of where my channel is going. So if you're an atheist and you're like, this is ridiculous, I don't believe in this, like, just don't don't continue following me, because that is where this is going to be going. And I feel like men right now more than ever need to hear about this, and that's why literally I'm talking about it, because I get messages in my head, and I really follow things that is like, it pulls my heart, like whatever I'm curious about, I want to talk and share about that. The reason I want to talk about this is because we as a society can keep on talking about, oh, you know, our attachment style and, you know, XYZ, money, and like all these kind of things, which I think are important to talk about. But a lot of the times we're not talking about the big picture, for me at least, because I'm a truth seeker. I don't like to talk about just the superficial crap. I like to really go in there, where a lot of men and women don't like to, or they don't want to see something that is different, you know, because they're afraid, they're worried. And that's okay to be afraid, because I definitely was. But I think that by just completely avoiding it and just pretending it doesn't exist is like a little bit ignorant. I was really curious to know what percentage of women are religious, spiritual, and what percentage of men. So apparently women are about 80 to 90% spiritual, and the non-religious slash atheist is 10%. So only 10% of women are atheists. The amount of men that are spiritual is 65 to 75%, which is actually quite a lot, but still not enough. And atheists is about 25 to 35%. Okay, so I just wanted to mention this. So basically, women are much more likely to identify as spiritual. So 4 out of 5 women compared to 2 out of 3 men. And naturally, because women are more connected to the spiritual realm, where we have a womb, we're able to create a baby. And so I do feel like that does play a huge role in this. So that's why I feel like talking about spirituality is important, and not just the woo-woo stuff, like actual things that have happened. And yes, I for a fact, sitting here, I do not have all the answers. I do not know everything, right? But I feel like when I hear something, it's like an inner knowing, like I remember it. It's like, oh, I know this. I don't have to go to college to learn it. It's a knowing that just resonates with my soul, right? And so sometimes you hear things and you're like, that's a bunch of BS, that doesn't make sense, you know? But sometimes you hear things and you're like, oh, that does make sense. Like, even though logically it doesn't make sense, but your heart and your soul, it just resonates with you. And recently, as you guys know, I'm also a makeup artist. I was doing makeup on this lady, and she goes, I guess we're talking about spirituality and stuff, and she was like, you know, I just don't believe in God. Like, look at all the horrible things happening in the world. The kids are dying and all this stuff. And I've heard this before, and anytime someone says this, I like have this urge to like scream and shout and be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you know, I just want to like yell, because to me it just doesn't make fucking sense. But I also don't like, you know, you have to follow my way. It's nothing to do with me. It's their journey. It's their consciousness. So I'm just there. Sometimes I feel like people come in my, I guess, next to me, so I can kind of ask them some questions, or just kind of make them a little bit, kind of help them wake up a little bit, right? And again, my job, I feel like my purpose here on earth is to challenge people. And I've just always, that's just my personality. When someone says B, I'm like, why? I want to know why you think like this. Why don't you think like this? There's literally XYZ. Like, I just want to really open people up. And so when she said that to me, I didn't have an answer, because I myself am like, why do kids die? Why does horrible things happen to good people? Like, why? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask God. Please, God, show me, tell me the answer. What is the answer? How do I help people that are confused about this, right? And so right after I said that, I kept on seeing videos and signs to answer this beautiful question that we all have. If God exists, then why? Right? And so I believe that we don't need to know the why. We're not here to know the why. We're really here to serve God, and because it's a very simple motto. God has a very simple motto: be good to people, help people, be of service, help humanity. But we as human beings, we complicate everything and we make it even more difficult for ourselves, right? So there's so many tragedies that happen in the world, but what we always think is that God isn't helping us. God is not here. If God was here, why would he have this war, And one thing that I kept on hearing over and over again, this is just what I heard, and this is what resonates with my soul, okay? It might not make sense to a lot of people, but that's okay. Is that we all have free will. So when you come into this world, we have a free will. Good, bad, evil, whatever it is. You have a choice to make as a soul. And so there's so many stories out there, and myself included, where I was going down a path and I would get like a message and I would turn away, and if I went that path, something bad would have happened. And that was not just a coincidence or a bird in my head. That was God, angel, spirit guides. That I don't know who it is, but it's coming from God, because God is ultimate source, right? And when I listen to a lot of these stories, these near life death experiences, there's so many of them where they have been saved and they get like a message, and I'm going to talk about this later on. And it's like literally a force that is trying to help us, but it's only for people that are open. They're open to that realm, and they're open to listen. They're open to keep their ego down, be humble, and be okay to be wrong. A lot of men are super closed off to that realm, and so they're not going to be able to receive those messages, because a lot of these are downloads. And also a lot of men, what they do is they doubt themselves, and they're, oh no, that's just like so silly, why would I get this thought? Or they don't trust and believe that there's something that is trying to help them, that is trying to protect them. Share your thoughts. I really want to have a conversation about this, right? It's like it's hard for me to talk to somebody on there, but I really want you, if you have your thoughts on God and what you think, or even if you think whatever the hell I'm doing right now is ridiculous, share it below. Tell me why you think that. The fact that a lot of men have been suppressing how they truly feel, because when I speak to men, they tell me like, I've never told this to anybody before. Like, I don't talk like this with anybody before. And I know that men are suppressing their pain, all of it, so they could remain that masculine, stoic, that man for the family, or pretend like nothing bothers them, but it does. And the truth of the matter is that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be afraid of God and not understanding, what is this God? What is this entity? I don't know what the fuck it is. And that, to be honest, was my learning. I was like, okay, I don't know what this is. Let me learn about it. And instead of creating judgments and assumptions based on what people are saying about God, let me make my own decisions and assumptions about God. I realized that I didn't complete what I was saying earlier. I'm sorry. So after I asked this question, I kept finding videos or just getting pulled towards near-life death experiences. And I've always been super uber intrigued. I don't know why, the topic of death, like whenever I find my soulmate, the way I'm going to know is if I talk about death and he doesn't like that, we can't be together. Like that, me and my soulmate, we got to talk about death, and we got to talk about souls and life and God. Like that's what I love talking about. And there's so many near life death experiences. Of course, not everybody who claims to have one has had one, right? But there's a channel that I'm going to post, and I'm probably going to make more videos on it. But I think it's called Prioritize Your Life is the channel's name. And there's no way in fucking hell that these people are lying. And what I really find interesting about these experiences is that, you know, there was a woman that had it when she was really young, like 7 or 10 or something, and she was like 50, talking about it as if it happened to her yesterday. And I just find that little point like so interesting, because it came to me and I was like, you know, when I have a dream, like I literally had it 5 minutes ago and I wake up from a dream. I can't remember it. It's so difficult for me to remember it. But these stories that they tell and they, you know, they share, it's like, you can't make this shit up. And again, there's going to be people out there that they're going to think it is bullshit, and that's okay. They're soul level, you know, there's levels of souls that we have, right? Not to say anyone's better than the other, but it is kind of true. Like if you ever think about it, somebody who's at they call it low level. I don't want to make it seem like people are lower, but that's just how it is. You know, there's some people that are newer souls and they have this black and white way of thinking. There's no gray. You know, they're super set in their ways. They don't care what other people say. They're super righteous and nobody else, you know, is correct. And so these kind of people that are more on the lower level, people that are more open-minded, they don't live their life out of their ego. They are okay to get humiliated. I think that's when, you know, the soul, the level of the soul is really high, when they don't give a shit about that, because they know themselves so well that like something like that, somebody humiliating them or something bad happening in their life, they're not gonna stoop down to that level, because they know their worth and they know that they're loved and accepted no matter what. Anyways, that's a whole other topic that I will talk about another time, because this is like it's like I'm getting so many downloads that it's like I need to just shh. The reason I really want to also mention this is that a lot of people I find recently, you know, they're just like, I'm spiritual. I'm just spiritual. Like, what the hell does spiritual mean? Like, I don't get it. What are you talking about? And then they say, oh, just energies. Like, I believe in energies. Okay, but what do you mean? Like, I don't know. You know, just energies, like positive, negative. It's like, that's, for me, somebody who's spiritual, they are ready to dive in deep. They're ready to ask difficult questions to themselves. That's how I know that you're spiritual. When you're able to go, and of course everybody has a different level of spirituality. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I feel like when you're unable, if I ask you a question about your beliefs and you can't answer it, and you're like, oh, this is, you know, I don't know, this is all crap or whatever, or you're just like avoiding or deflecting, you're not really seeking to find the answers. And I feel like part of being spiritual is finding an answer that best resonates with you. Of course, it's not going to be the only answer. There's going to be many different answers to that question. Because at the end of it, we really don't know, right? I can sit here and talk about it all day long, but we don't really have a proper answer. But you can go off of what resonates with your soul the most. And this is what resonates with me the most. It gives me the most amount of peace in my life, that I know that everything is divinely guided. Everything is like, it's just part of the plan. And right now somebody could say, well, look at you, you're so whatever, you're happy and you're, you know, XYZ. And I can literally tell you right now, like, no, I'm actually struggling right now. And I'm not going to go into it, because I'm not here to like trauma dump or like tell you my problems. But I'm actually at one of the most difficult times. It's a very difficult time for me right now. And I still believe that it's all going to work out. It's all going to be fine. And I think that's part of trusting the universe, trusting God, that it's all going to work out. This was one of my favorite quotes from Wayne Dyer. If you knew who walked beside you at all times on the path that you have chosen, you could never experience fear or doubt again. I love that. Because yes, there's moments in my life where I'm like afraid, I'm scared, I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? This is crazy, you know, whatever. Or I made a mistake. I raised my voice to my daughter and I just wasn't perfect there and I wasn't great. And, you know, the list goes on, but it's like, I'm just trying my best and you're trying your best, right? So I really just hope that this video, and by the way, it's not going to be the only one. I'm going to be making lots of other videos that are going to be going into a little bit deeper topics, spirituality, your life, death experiences, because you can learn a lot from these people and why they've been through these experiences. And majority of them, they were all kind of going down the wrong path. There was a girl that was literally getting beaten up by her husband, and he literally was about to kill her because he's the one that broke her disc. Because he put in like he put a lot of money into her life insurance. He wanted to kill her. And so if she didn't go through that experience where, you know, by the way, when she was on top of the room, that entity, spirit guide, whatever you want to call it, said like, what are you going to do? And she like woke up and she was like, I'm going to leave this man. I gotta do better. And she went back and she did that, and she met her soulmate. That's another story that it freaks me out, just that story, how she met the soulmate, which is another, I think I'll make another video on that. But it's just like everything in life is happening for a purpose. You just have to believe in that. Know that you have been created as a piece of God, and you are so loved and you are so accepted just how you are. You don't need to put on makeup. You do not need to put on a great outfit. You do not need to put on a great perfume. Like, you are just perfect the way you are. And even if you feel like nobody loves you right now, I want you to know that God loves you. Okay? And I'm going to become a priest. I just knew it. That's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, my advice is still going on. I have a form you can fill out. You can ask me any advice in regards to anything right now. Relationships, dating, divorces, something difficult that you're dealing with. And I will try my best to help you. And that's it. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in my next video.